All right, settle in, because today we are diving deep into the abyss of human depravity. We're talking about the monsters that walk among us, the ones who leave a trail of fear, unanswered questions, and shattered lives. These aren't just criminals. These are the apex predators of the human world. Today, we confront the chilling legacies of three of the most dangerous serial killers in history. Their stories aren't just tales of horror. They are also gripping accounts of relentless investigations. They show how dedicated detectives and forensic experts tried to piece together fragmented clues. They analyzed their terrifying patterns and ultimately hunted down, or at least tried to hunt down, these elusive purveyors of death. First, let's talk about the handsome devil who terrified the American Northwest and beyond. We're talking about Ted Bundy. His charming demeanor hid a truly monstrous soul. Bundy's rampage began in the early 1970s. It swept across multiple states, leaving a wake of missing young women. The initial investigations were fragmented. Authorities in Washington, Oregon, and Utah were often unaware that their missing persons cases were connected. Could a single individual be responsible for so many disappearances across such vast distances? It seemed almost impossible. But as the body count rose, a terrifying pattern emerged. Young, attractive women, and often with long dark hair parted down the middle, were vanishing. Witnesses described a polite, seemingly injured man approaching them, asking for help with a boat or car. He would then overpower them and vanish into the night. This was a new kind of predator, one who weaponized charm and vulnerability. Police struggled immensely. They had composite sketches, vague descriptions, and a growing sense of panic. Forensic science at the time was rudimentary compared to today. DNA profiling was decades away. Investigators relied on eyewitness accounts, circumstantial evidence, and sheer detective work. They compiled massive files, connecting the dots piece by agonizing piece. The breakthrough often came through tireless police work and a bit of luck. A few victims managed to escape Bundy's clutches and provide crucial details. Eventually, a traffic stop in Utah led to Bundy's arrest, but his story didn't end there. He escaped custody not once, but twice, continuing his reign of terror, even killing in Florida after his final escape. The hunt for Bundy became a nationwide saga. It showcased the limitations of law enforcement agencies operating in silos. It also highlighted the desperate need for interstate cooperation. His eventual capture and trials were a spectacle. They exposed the chilling reality of a highly intelligent, manipulative killer. A monster who could blend seamlessly into society. The investigation into Bundy's crimes fundamentally changed how multi-jurisdictional serial killer cases are handled today. It led to more centralized databases and better communication protocols. Next, we journey into a truly macabre chapter of true crime. This is the story of Jeffrey Dahmer, the Milwaukee Monster. His crimes were so horrific, so beyond the pale, they left a permanent scar on the human psyche. Dahmer's reign of terror spanned from 1978 to 1991, yet he targeted primarily gay men of color. For years he operated in plain sight, his gruesome activities hidden behind the walls of his unassuming apartment. The investigation into Dahmer's crimes wasn't a slow burn like Bundy's. It was an explosive, immediate horror show. The discovery began in July 1991. A potential victim, Tracy Edwards, escaped Dahmer's apartment. He frantically flagged down police. He claimed a man had tried to handcuff him and put a knife to his throat. When officers entered Dahmer's apartment, what they found was beyond anyone's worst nightmares. The apartment was a chamber of horrors. There were severed heads in the refrigerator. There were decomposing bodies in the freezer. There was human flesh in the freezer and even a vat of acid containing dissolving remains. The smell alone was enough to make veteran officers retch. The scene was so profoundly disturbing that it almost defied belief. The investigation immediately shifted from a routine domestic disturbance to a massive homicide probe. Forensic teams had to meticulously process the apartment. They faced the daunting task of identifying the dismembered remains of multiple victims. It required careful anatomical reconstruction and dental records. They used every available forensic tool to give names back to the nameless. The shocking revelations of Dahmer's cannibalism, necrophilia, and dismemberment sent shockwaves across the globe. The initial investigation also exposed significant failings within the Milwaukee Police Department. Officers had, on at least one occasion, returned a 14-year-old victim, Conorak Synthesome, to Dahmer. They believed his lies about the boy being his adult lover. This tragic blunder cost a young life and sparked outrage and reforms within the department. Dahmer's capture wasn't about a long hunt. It was about a sudden, horrifying discovery. It then transitioned into an intensive forensic investigation and a deep dive into the mind of a truly disturbed individual. The case forced law enforcement and society to confront the darkest corners of human behavior and the critical importance of listening to all victims, regardless of their background. Finally, we turn our attention to a killer who remains an enigma. A phantom figure who terrorized Northern California in the late 1960s and early 1970s. We're talking about the Zodiac Killer. His story is a masterclass in psychological warfare. He remains uncaught, an enduring symbol of investigative frustration. The Zodiac Killer's crimes began in December 1968. He targeted young couples in isolated areas. His method was brutal. His calling card was unique, taunting letters and ciphers sent to local newspapers. These letters detailed his crimes and mocked law enforcement. He even claimed to have killed more than was officially attributed to him. The investigation into the Zodiac was unlike any before it. It wasn't just about finding a killer. It was about solving a series of complex puzzles. Detectives from multiple jurisdictions, including Vallejo, San Francisco, and Napa County, worked tirelessly. They collected evidence from crime scenes. They interviewed hundreds of potential witnesses. But the killer's cunning and the lack of advanced forensic tools made the task incredibly difficult. Yet the Zodiac's letters were a central part of the investigation. Cryptographers from the FBI and other agencies were brought in. They worked to decipher his complex ciphers. One of the ciphers, the 408 symbol message, was famously solved by a high school teacher and his wife. It revealed chilling details about the killer's motivations. Yet other ciphers remain unsolved to this day. They continue to frustrate experts and amateur sleuths alike. And the killer even provided a partial description, and a composite sketch emerged. But the Zodiac seemed to vanish and reappear at will. He would strike, send a letter, then go silent for months or even years. This made it impossible to establish a clear pattern for traditional detective work. His taunts created an atmosphere of fear that gripped the entire Bay Area. Despite groundbreaking work in handwriting analysis and ballistics, the Zodiac was never definitively identified. The case remains active to this day. Modern DNA techniques have been applied to old evidence. Leads are still pursued decades later. The Zodiac Killer represents the ultimate challenge in criminal investigation. He used anonymity, psychological manipulation, and the primitive state of forensics to evade justice. These three cases, Bundy, Dahmer, and the Zodiac, represent different facets of evil and different challenges for those dedicated to upholding justice. They remind us of the incredible human capacity for cruelty. But they also highlight the relentless dedication of investigators, people who spend their lives meticulously sifting through clues, piecing together shattered narratives, and fighting to bring peace to victims and their families. Their work, even when incomplete, shapes our understanding of crime and forever alters the landscape of criminal investigation. If you found this deep dive into the dark side of history compelling, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. We want to hear your thoughts. Which of these cases do you find most unsettling? Or which investigative challenge was the most daunting? Let us know in the comments below. And for more historical insights, true crime deep dives, and general knowledge that will make your brain tingle, be sure to subscribe to HI History and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching.